Pay attention. This is the real footage of former Liberian President Doe, who once claimed to be invulnerable, being brutally tortured and killed. Before he died, his 10 fingers and 2 ears were severed, one by one, and fed to dogs. When hungry and thirsty, he was forced to drink his own blood to satisfy his hunger and thirst. Even his genitals were cut off. After being tortured to death, his body was thrown in the wilderness and subjected to humiliation. Why did President Doe end up in such a fate? What did he do that was so despicable? Former Liberian President Doe, a globally recognized African tyrant. He had a brutal and heartless nature behind his genteel appearance. Born in a poor village, Doe was always eager to learn and inquire. At the age of 16, he completed his elementary education. However, Doe did not stop his pursuit of education and spent another 3 years to finish middle school. At the age of 18, he began his military career, but due to his low status, Doe, despite being well-read, could not rise to an officer's rank, and was instead constantly reassigned to different posts. This made Doe feel frustrated. During his time in various postings, Doe met a group of like-minded individuals. At the same time, the political situation in Liberia was turbulent. In 1979, revolutionary activities spread across the country, which gave Doe an opportunity to make a name for himself. Thus, Doe, with great ambition, urged the people to rise up in revolt. On April 12, 1980, Doe led the Shadow Red, armed with submachine guns, to infiltrate the presidential palace and personally executed then President Tolbert. At dawn, Doe announced his success in seizing power via radio. 91 government officials and 11 cabinet members were all executed by Doe. Doe even broadcasted this mass execution on television. The people of Liberia originally thought the country was about to embark on a new era. But little did they know, the brutal Doe would push them into another abyss. After taking power, Doe imposed military rule, stripping the ordinary people of their rights, and amassed wealth for himself. At the same time, Doe fully aligned with the United States, allowing the U.S. to build bases in Liberia and station American troops. Doe's reckless actions quickly led to dissatisfaction from his former allies who had helped him rise to power. His close aide, Quay even staged a coup, but it ultimately failed. The bloodthirsty and cruel Doe not only dismembered Quenba, but even ate his heart in front of others. His brutality was appalling. What was even more outrageous was that, in the face of financial ruin and a collapsing domestic economy, Doe began to rely on religion. He performed human sacrifices in government buildings, hoping for divine protection. His violent and absurd behavior soon sparked further resistance from the people. Statistics show that in the 10 years of Doe's rule, at least 40 coups took place. By 1989, Liberian News Deputy Minister Charles Taylor rose to power, and with the support of countries like Libya, Nigeria, and other African nations, Taylor eventually invaded the Liberian capital in 1990. After months of siege, Taylor captured Doe alive. In the footage, Doe is seen with his hands and feet bound, stripped, naked, and humiliated. Taylor's subordinate, Jensen, sits at a table interrogating him, forcing Doe to admit to his crimes and reveal the more than $200 million he embezzled. At this moment, Doe remains silent. Jensen, seeing this, calmly orders his subordinates to use a blunt knife to cut off Doe's fingers. Doe screams in agony, but his tormentors continue, slowly slicing off each of his fingers one by one. Doe loses consciousness from the pain. However, they don't stop. When Doe regains consciousness, they then proceed to cut off his ears by hand. At this point, Doe finally can't hold back, kneeling and begging for mercy. But Jensen shows no mercy. He doesn't want Doe to die easily. So, he picks up the blunt knife again and slices off Doe's genitals. Doe's screams are relentless, while Jensen and others sit across from him, drinking and celebrating, with faces full of disdain and mockery. After enduring 12 hours of torture, Doe finally dies, but his body is put on public display for people to gawk at, before being consumed by maggots. However, after Doe's rise to power, Liberia fell into a 7-year civil war. which claimed 150,000 lives. The war finally ended in 2003.